We bow. Good morning, all. Sangha. So let's stand up and greet each other silently with a bow or a smile, however strikes you. Now, if you turn to page 7 in your rituals and practice, we will do the 3 refuges. I go for refuge to Buddha, my deeply awakened mind, the living source of understanding and compassion, which must be cultivated to be known fully. I go for refuge to Dharma, the path of mindful living, leading to healing, joy, and enlightenment, the way of peace, which must be cultivated to be known fully. I go for refuge to the Sangha, the loving and supportive community of practice, realizing harmony, awareness, and liberation, which must be cultivated to be known fully. I am aware that the 3 jewels are within my heart. I vow to realize them. I vow to understand living beings and their suffering. I vow to cultivate loving kindness and compassion and to practice joy and equanimity. I vow to live simply and sanely, content with few possessions, and to keep my body healthy. I vow to let go of all worry and anxiety in order to be light and free. I am aware that I owe so much to my parents, teachers, friends, and all beings. I vow to be worthy of their trust, to practice wholeheartedly, so that understanding and compassion will flower, and I can help living beings to be free from their suffering. May the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha support my efforts. May the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha support my efforts. May the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha support my efforts. Now please turn over to page 8, and we will do the Heart Sutra. Prajna Paramita Kaya Putra of great compassion from the deep practice of Prajna Paramita, receive the emptiness of all 5 skandhas and things from their suffering. O Shariputra, form is no other than emptiness, emptiness no other than form. Form is emptiness, emptiness form. The same is true of feeling, thought, impulse, and consciousness. O Shariputra, all dharmas are empty. They are not born nor annihilated. They are not defiled nor immaculate. They do not increase nor decrease. So in emptiness, no form, no feeling, no thought, no impulse, no consciousness, no eye, ear, no sound, smell, taste, touch, or objects of mind, no realm of sight, no realm of consciousness, no ignorance, nor extinction of ignorance, no old age and death, nor extinction of them, no suffering, no cause of suffering, no cease from suffering, no path to lead out of suffering, no knowledge, no attainment, no realization, for there is nothing to attain. The Bodhisattva holds on to nothing but prajna, paramita. Therefore the mind is clear of any delusive hindrance. Without hindrance there is no fear. Away from all perverted views, one reaches final nirvana. All Buddhas of past, present, and future, through faith in prajna, paramita, attain to the highest perfect enlightenment. Know then the prajna, paramita, is the great Dharani, the radiant fearless mantram, the utmost supreme mantram, which is capable of allaying all pain. This is true beyond all doubt. Proclaim now the highest wisdom, the prajna, paramita. Gate, gate, para gate, para samgate, bodhisvaha. Gate, gate, para gate, para samgate, bodhisvaha. Gate, gate, para gate, para samgate, bodhisvaha. Dhamma prajna paramita hridaya sutra. Please have a seat. Now today we have the privilege of Tongjin Su, Caleb, one of our Dharma teachers here, is going to give a talk from New Orleans. So, welcome Tongjin Su.
Hey there. Good morning. Nice to see you all. Apologies for the delay there for a second. For some reason, it wasn't letting me start my video, but it seems like everything's acting normal now. It's hard to tell sometimes with technology. Am I coming through okay? Everyone can hear me? Okay, wonderful. Hey Kunga, good to see you too. All right. Well, it's really nice to see you all this morning. Just to forewarn you, my daughter's hanging out with me right now, so if you hear random like toddler laughs and babble, that's what that is. So I'd like to talk to you today about regrets. I wonder if you have any regrets. I know that I certainly do. Maybe you have said or done something foolish at some point in your life, or maybe you regret not doing something, like your life reached a fork in the road, you took a left, but a small voice within you wonders what could have been if you took a right instead. Maybe this action or inaction was great in its severity and impact, like turning down a job offer, ending a relationship, persisting in a relationship, or taking some big risk. Or maybe the effects of this action were inconsequential, like just regretting the outfit you chose to wear, taking a certain way to work and running into traffic, or experiencing buyer's remorse. Regardless, there's still this thought living rent-free in your mind. You think of it, maybe not all the time, of course, but from time to time it arises, it comes up. So today I want to talk about regrets and how we can approach them as practitioners of Buddha Dharma. We will explore voices past and present within the Buddhist canon to discover what might be the proper place of regret on the path. Is it something helpful or is it a hindrance? So first, let's define our terms. As a word, regret is defined by the Oxford Dictionary as a feeling of sadness, repentance, or disappointment over something that has happened or been done. One component that I feel is missing in this definition is that many people also regret certain actions not taken. Missed opportunities seem to form many of people's regrets. When considering regret, some similar words also come to mind, such as remorse, guilt, or even shame. In fact, most definitions I encountered when I was looking up regret online also listed these words as synonyms. But we'll come back to this later. So in the Buddhist canon, the Sanskrit word used for regret, can I help you? Here you go. So the Sanskrit word that is used in the scriptures for regret is kaukritya. It's a Sanskrit word, usually translated as worry. It appears in the Mahaprajnaparamita Shastra, a Buddhist encyclopedia that was written by Nagarjuna, who's this famous 2nd century Indian philosopher of early Mahayana Buddhism. And in this book, it's like a giant encyclopedia of everything you could ever want to know about in Buddhism. He discusses regret for a bit, and he classifies this word, kaukritya, as one of 10 active defilements. So it's counted on a list amongst other things like anger, envy, and hypocrisy. And he sees it primarily as an entanglement of the mind, some kind of obstacle to awakening. And oftentimes these entanglements or defilements are compared to fetters, chains that restrain or constrict movement. So in this way, regret is seen just as a hindrance, something that is literally holding us back from waking up. Along these lines, Nagarjuna warns, the person who is prey to regret is like a criminal always tortured by fear. When the arrow of regret has entered the mind, it is implanted there and cannot be torn out. And I think the main way that this manifests as some kind of an obstacle is that when we are caught up wondering about the past, we're often robbed of the present moment because we're not fully present to appreciate what is happening in the here and now, but instead are caught up in an imagined scenario of the past. But I also encountered a similar text called the Abhidharma Samuccaya. It's an important work of early Buddhist psychology, and kaukritya also appears in it. It says, quote, "What is kaukritya? It is an obsession regarding the positive, negative, indifferent, timely, untimely, appropriate, and inappropriate." So it really can be anything done, whether we consider it positive, indifferent, whether it was a timely action or an untimely action, whether it was something we consider appropriate or inappropriate. And it goes on to say that its function is to obstruct the mind from becoming settled. Many of the commentaries on the Abhidharma really hammer home this notion that regret fundamentally obstructs the mind's ability to become settled. Here. Yes, here's some water. All right. So there is this inherent sense of anguish suggested in the text that prevents the mind from reaching a state of ease and equanimity. However, I think regret may not be wholly negative. So as a text, the Abhidharma generally defines and classifies different, what it calls mental factors. But you can think of these different mental factors just as states of consciousness that we all experience from day to day or year to year. So they can include everything from bliss to deceit to just feeling drowsy. So interestingly, though, regret is not classified as wholesome or unwholesome, good or bad, constructive or deconstructive. Instead, it's classified as changeable. So we find this suggestion in early Buddhist psychology that it may be kind of indeterminate, or it may depend really upon the way that we relate to it. So how can we relate to regret in a way that might be skillful and wholesome? So on one hand, I think it's very easy for regret to become a negative exercise in self-flagellation, spending much mental energy and endless hours ruminating on how things may have been different if we only said the right thing or acted the right way. This is where regret seems to become lasting guilt or sorrow. We get caught up in the game of woulda, shoulda, coulda. I would have done this, should have done that, could have done that, right? And although these stories are fundamentally unsubstantial, they can still have a profound effect upon us. And in my own experience, when I go through this mental activity, I find it's often driven by my own self-hatred. It manifests in this development of a deep loathing for myself, becoming this indulgence in one of the three poisons, devesha, which is often translated as anger or hatred. But to this point, Buddhist teacher Sharon Salzberg says, torturing ourselves is not a form of atonement. It merely makes us weary and more likely to act out in other facets of life as a result of feeling self-deprecated and inadequate. So there is another way to work with regret, I believe, as something incredibly helpful and instructive along the path. And this is where regret can become something skillful. When we use it as a point of reflection on the way our actions affect others, causing them pain or causing ourselves pain. After all, with the noble bodhisattva vow, we swear ourselves to the aspiration of relieving not just our own suffering in samsara, but relieving the suffering of others. The venerable monk Thubten Chonyi says, it is essential that our regret comes from an understanding of the results of the action we are purifying. So if we think about the result of our action, then we should be able to get a little energy from our regret, not as a feeling of guilt, not as a feeling of shame, but bringing the wisdom mind in that says, oh, the wisdom that understands conventional reality, that things arise, results arise, all from causes. And I created a cause that is going to have an effect that will be suffering for me and maybe other people as well. I don't want to experience that effect. Or we may say, I don't want others to experience that effect. And this is where regret overlaps with remorse or repentance, feelings that I perceive as more useful than guilt or self-hatred. They seem to have a more positive charge to them. And remorse and repentance, I think especially, aim at atonement. And atonement is what we really need when we've made an error in thought, speech, or action. So what is atonement then? Breaking down the word, it's literally made up of these three chunks: at, one, meant, at, one, meant, at, one, right? So it's a reparation that is made for unity, an act that restores the wholeness broken by a mistake. And this wholeness sundered by our actions may be the wholeness of a relationship with another person, or even just the way we relate to ourselves. So when we feel regret or remorse for something we thought, said, or did, we should reconcile with the person hurt by our action, even if the only person affected is ourself. At the end of every Sunday service, we recite a gatha called the Gatha of Atonement for this very purpose. We say, for all unskillful actions ever committed by me since of old, on account of my beginningless greed, anger, and ignorance, born of my body, mouth, and thoughts, now I atone for them all. But we say this with the intent to return to wholeness, with this intent to remember, to act wisely and compassionately so as to not break our relations again. I think the key in all of this is really to recognize the fact that we have erred and then resolve not to make this same mistake again. For if we continue to make mistakes and then beat ourselves up with guilt and shame, and then try to reconcile and then do it all over again, then we're really caught up in the endless cycle of samsara. And in my own experience, addiction tends to run on this two-cycle engine. One part vice and one part shame. There's the self-destructive act of indulging in whatever our addiction is, but then there's also the equally self-destructive, self-imposed guilt and shame for having done so. And in my experience, that guilt and shame keeps us just as hooked as the vice itself. So along these lines of resolving to do better, of taking regret and being inspired to adjust our behavior in the future, I think of this specific purification practice I received from my Vajrayana teacher. The practice is dedicated to a single bodhisattva, and it includes a confession, which is a little odd. I think we tend to think of confession as being something reserved for like Catholics, but there is like a small tradition of confession within Buddhism, not out of the sense of like, oh, I am so small, I have sinned, or like needing to intensely humble oneself, but just to admit, oh, I have erred in some way, and it's time to do better. So here's a part of the practice I'd like to share. It says, throughout beginningless time until now, we have committed misdeeds and transgressions, physically, verbally, and mentally. Realizing this, we feel as regretful and sorrowful as if we had ingested poison. We openly admit and confess these deeds before you, and in the future, even at the cost of our lives, will not waste this opportunity by repeating them. Our life is short, our time is limited, and our moments with each other are very precious. When we recall the fragility of our human lives, I believe our regrets can become incredibly illuminating. If we take stock of the different regrets we have accumulated throughout our lifetime, we may observe certain patterns or trends, or we may detect the way the consequences of a single decision rippled throughout time to create the present reality that we reside within. And so now a new choice arises. Moment to moment, we sow karmic seeds. Each time we take an action, we sow these seeds that will create the causes, or really are the causes, for future conditions. Keeping this in mind, our regrets can become the mud from which a lotus grows. Thank you. I believe John had mentioned wanting to maybe reserve time for questions. Is this something we still want to engage in, or should we move to meditation? Kunga? Meditation? Okay. I see a hand in the back. Hey. I apologize, but if you are speaking, I cannot hear you. I think the temple account is muted right now. Now I can hear.
Okay, I wonder if this translates in some way also to wider community. And for some reason, I was thinking of the balance between, I know it's another term that's sort of related, is redemption and atonement, or sort of similar. And it came to my mind on a community level because I remember once that I was I commented somewhere on a beloved community and someone said, you know, it's not that simple. And then I looked deeper into beloved community and it involved the balance of, well, where I looked it up, the balance of redemption and grace. So I don't know if you can comment perhaps on how you think it might be a wider community type of and society type of thing.
Yeah, thank you, Joe. Yeah, I think my primary focus in composing this was really thinking about some regrets that I honestly have in my own life and trying to get right with them and figure out what is the proper place of them in my own path. But that's the thing about our actions, though, is that they don't just affect ourselves; they also affect, other people, and especially some decisions can devastate communities, especially if we are someone who's a linchpin in a certain community or play a prominent role. I think processes of reconciliation are a little bit wider, and mediation, reconciliation, bringing somebody back in the fold after maybe a great harm has been done. I think these are longer conversations. Yeah, I'm not sure if I have a great answer at this time for that. I know there's a number of examples, though, throughout time for ways that sanghas, especially monastic communities, have handled things that conflicts between people that then cause division in the sangha. That's an excellent point. Thank you, Joe.
Thank you so much for today's talk. I love the idea of thinking about regret as something other than being purely negative, and thinking about how the role it has in sort of contributing to, or maybe even enhancing one's practice. And I think about the idea of letting go of regrets, that sort of appears in songs, and I think I've written songs about that before, just to be fully transparent. And now, oh, hi.
You say hey.
She
started the show.
She got quiet real fast. Just it's got me thinking that maybe letting go of regret isn't something that I want to just do right away. You want to fast forward through the sort of processing and sort of understanding of the roots of regret. I don't want to do that. So this has been really helpful in helping me think about how to process that and what to hold on to maybe a little bit longer, and what to let go when it's becoming something that's more of a hindrance than a help. So
yeah,
I don't know if you have any response to that. Thanks.
Yeah, thank you, Nathan.
I have a quick question. I don't know if you can hear me.
I can hear you, Amy.
Okay. When you were talking about, kind of a confession type way to deal with our regret. I mean, I was born and raised Catholic, so I'm very familiar with confession.
Right.
But how do we do that in a Buddhist practice? Is it something more just with our own minds and during meditation, or is it something outside of meditation? Like how would that look for you? Like you were talking about dealing with your own regret, and that's why you wanted to do this talk. So what does that process look like?
That's a good question. So within my own practice, I've received a couple practices from a teacher in Vajrayana, and a key theme you see throughout many practices in that world is different practices of purification, generally done not under the understanding that one is dirty, but under the understanding that we are already luminous, or we are already pure, or we are already enlightened, and it's just a matter of, cleaning the dust or the dirt from the mirror. And these things that we regret are like the dust or dirt that obscures a window, and acts of confession, whether they are merely to oneself, like having the courage to say something aloud to oneself, or to the bodhisattvas, if you believe they are, real entities, or to a friend. This act of confession kind of clears or cleans or assists in that remembrance of one's original face, so to speak, or the original clarity of one's mind. I hope that helps. Sorry. She's really trying to steal the show. I hope that helped, Amy.
How I kind of look at regrets is like in so many areas in life, like also like in like trauma, it's like you can get rid of the energy of it, but kind of keep that here so you can use it for something to use for somebody else later. So it's like, don't forget it, but let the pain go, or the suffering of it, but because it's a valuable lesson, you want to hold on to it so you can use it for somebody else, because somebody else has gone through what you have. So if you can feel it and let it go, maybe you can help somebody else do that also. I don't know. That's just me. She probably has a better answer. And a shorter one.
No, I like that, because I think there's the act itself, and there's like the healthy way we can look at the act and let it inform our decisions in the future. But then there's also the needless self-inflicted harm, like you say, or pain that can be caused just by ruminating over it. And I think that's the key, is just trying to get past that self-inflicted harm, which shows up in guilt.
I kind of look at it like this too. There's somebody on a playground that made you mad, and all these years later, you still want to beat that guy up, and he don't even know you're even alive. So you still got that anger towards somebody you held that the whole time. Or maybe that's just me. Probably just me. That's all. I'm done.
Thank you. She's reaching that age where I think she knows she's cute, so she's just trying to ham it up, I think. So thank you all for your patience. Are there any more questions at this time, or comments? Well, with that, I think maybe it's time to transition to meditation then. That is, we have the time, don't we? Yeah, I believe we do. Yangsu, are you comfortable leading meditation? Sure. Thank you. Here you go.
prepare yourselves for meditation. And we bow. Thanks, Tongjin Su, for a wonderful talk. So, announcements. The preceptors are going to be meeting upstairs about 15 minutes after we close. So we'll be getting out of the temple and letting them have it. Other announcements. Does anybody else have? Oh.
Hello, everyone. I'm Anna. I'd like to talk briefly about Dharma, or generosity, which is a foundation of Buddhism. Giving serves as a way to eliminate one's greed or ill will. By giving away what is valuable, we reduce attachment by letting go. Our temple is run solely on donations and by the hard work of volunteers. No one receives a salary. If you'd like to contribute, there are brown wooden dana boxes at each entrance to the temple. There's a PayPal link to donate on our website, zengr.org. There should be a donation link on YouTube under the video. And if you shop on Amazon, you can designate the temple as a donation recipient. And when shopping Amazon Smile, Amazon will donate a small portion of the amount to the temple at no cost to you. And as always, non-monetary donations like toilet paper, hand soap, books for the library, and handicrafts for the boutique downstairs are always welcome. Thank you.
Any other announcements? Put this back in without turning it off. Okay. For details about October events, visit zengr.org and sign up for our newsletter there, and you'll get everything, that we do. Oh. The Radical Dharma Book Club is the first Wednesday of each month. Lojong celebration, the next one is November 9th. Books worth talking about. There is an in-person on the fourth Sunday afternoons or virtual via Zoom for Wednesday evenings. The Grand Rapids Buddhist Temple Board of Directors meets the fourth Sunday of each month. And Buddhist-based recovery meetings meet Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays. So we're going to close. Before we do it, we leave the cushions up, but we take all the rituals and practice and incense books back, and please mindfully straighten up your cushions so we have nice looking Zen-like cushions and mats. So we sorry.
Some business. Good morning. My Dharma name is Poshi, and my given name is Jan Enzing. I serve on the temple's board of directors as president and secretary, and I'm here to call a meeting to amend the Articles of Incorporation. We need to amend Article 1 of our Articles of Incorporation to legally change the name of our temple. This amendment will be approved by the Board of Directors, Dharma Council, subscribers to the temple's newsletter, and attendees of the temple, including those joining via YouTube and Zoom. The exact language of this amendment will be posted on the bulletin boards at the temple, emailed as a special announcement to our newsletter mailing list, and an online vote open on Sunday, October 16, as I'm speaking, and closing on Sunday, October 23 at 11 a.m. and read before attendees at the temple, including those joining via YouTube and Zoom, at this Sunday service, October 16, and repeated with a ballot vote at the Sunday service on October 23. Results of the vote will be announced on October 28 in the newsletter, and at the service on Sunday, October 30. The exact language for a vote to amend the Articles of Incorporation read as Article 1. We will change our temple's name from Grand Rapids Zen Center and Buddhist Temple to the Grand Rapids Buddhist Temple. If you have questions about this amendment, please email me, Jan Ensing, at jensing@zengr.org. That's JENSING @zengr.org. Thank you.
Is there anything else before we close? Okay, turn to page 9 and we will do our closing gathas. Together we say, for all unskillful action ever committed by me since of old, on account of my beginningless greed, anger, and ignorance, born of my body, mouth, and thoughts, now I atone for them all. Vast is the robe of compassion, a formless field of benefaction. I wear the Buddhist teachings for the benefit of all sentient beings. All beings, one body, I vow to liberate. Endless blind passion, I vow to uproot. Dharma gates without number, I vow to penetrate. The great way of Buddha, I vow to attain. Okay, and if we split down the middle here, let's face each other and give each other a bow. Thanks, everyone. Enjoy your Sunday.